Hello, my name is Sergio Barrera, Texas A&M International University practicum student for Education and Administration. And this is the post-conference component of Module 3. I have Ms. Hubble here. We did an observation, a very, very good lesson on the Bill of Rights, where there was a little bit of review, so a little bit of teacher part, a lot of student part, collaborating, some discussions, some decisions, some debate. Some of the kids really got into the activity, and I really believe that they got a good understanding of the Bill of Rights and their application of it. So I think they're going to do pretty well on the state assessment, at least on that piece. So very, very good. So this is your post-conference. So I showed you this in the pre-conference. These are some of the things that we look for during the planning and during the actual observation. Domain 4 is something separate that we'll talk about at the end of the year conference. But as far as the lesson went, there was a clear, well-organized sequence throughout the lesson. The kids knew exactly what was going to happen. It was well planned. We did some observations with your other teachers or your other grade level teachers, and it was pretty similar. So it was evident that there was clear, well thought out planning, which is what we want to see. Okay, we want to see that collaboration amongst colleagues. The pacing was well. This particular one didn't need technology, but I guess they could do it maybe on iPads or anything like that. And I know that you've used technology before with Chromebooks and other manipulatives. So this, of course, you gave a lot of good communication and feedback, a lot of encouragement. Good job. And guide the students to what you want them to know. It did tap into students' prior knowledge. It's like you were saying in the pre-conference. They had to know, and that's what I love about history, is a lot of it builds up on itself. So the reasons why we have the Bill of Rights stem directly from our relationship with Great Britain, especially at the end, how it all fell apart. So the Bill of Rights they can find, and they're able to find exactly why we have that. The British did this to us, so we made this a law that it can never happen to us again. So I think that's pretty neat for the students to see history in action, so to speak. There was adjustments to student needs, diverse learning, and learning styles. So yeah, you did a good job with accommodating special ed, the ELLs. You have good support there with the
they're great support teachers,
and your co-teacher. Y'all seem to just click very well. Of course, we're always challenged by time with how much we can actually plan together, but it seems like it's evident that y'all have been working for a while together. Mm-hmm. You know what each other is thinking a lot of the times. The activity was phenomenal. The grouping of students, that was good. That group of 4 was probably the best for that class that I saw. I think some classes might be able to handle pairs, but I think for that particular class, the group of 4 was perfect. Everyone had their role and responsibility. The activity, again, I can't speak enough about how great it was. So that all falls under Domain 1, and we've already talked about most of that during the pre-conference part. So phenomenal job there. For the instruction piece in Domain 2, they were challenged. The students were challenged with these scenarios. They're just one-liners, and I like the title of the activity too. You can't do that to me. That was pretty funny. But they had to kind of justify why, especially when different students thought, no, I think it's Amendment 5, or I think it's Amendment 6, or they had to really think about it, and allowing for them to kind of debate and talk it out. I think they're really going to internalize and ingrain what they learned today. Some of the students, once they started debating, self-corrected. That was good. And your classroom management was great there. No one was, haha, see, told you. So I know you have your little expectations on the board. Number one is respect each other. So that was pretty big there. Let's see, the higher order thinking skills were applied there. They had to, that application piece, that transfer piece, it was there throughout the lesson. Of course, sequencing, history builds on itself, so that is good. Your communication piece, again, fantastic. Not only with the students, but with your colleagues as well. But also, you don't give them the answers. You guide them to it. You answer a question with a guiding question. Very Socratic, very good. We want the students to be able to do things for themselves. And we as educators, we're their guide.
Yeah.
So that was very nice to see there. You had appropriate wait time, especially when the students were explaining themselves. Kind of let them formulate their thoughts, let them think a little bit. Okay, huddle with their groups. That was very good.
Sometimes it's hard to wait for them to because you only have so much time in class. But yeah, so that's something that I've worked on, over the years is trying to give them that wait time and not just jump into what the answer is or whether they're right or wrong. I want them to have that think time, and it seems like middle schoolers sometimes they need more think time than
they definitely do.
Yeah.
They definitely do. And you know what? We see that a lot where teachers are like, all right, any questions? All right, moving on. And they say it, but it's like they don't even mean it. So I'm glad I saw that during your lesson. The differentiation piece was good. Yes, that was good. You were telling me about the simplified language for your EBs and your special ed. That was great. They need that because they're fighting an uphill battle in that 8th grade social studies star with the Lexile being high school level.
Hard. Yeah,
it's difficult. So they needed those supports, and that was very, very, very helpful for them. Again, your classroom management was great. These behavior pieces, the students got excitable sometimes and got a little loud, but nothing out of hand. And you kind of expect that with this type of activity, especially the closure part, where you're like, what's the right answer? And they're like, well, I know it. And they think it's something different. So that's going to just invite loudness, passion, debate. But great activity. So again, you did a phenomenal job in that domain. For domain 3, which is the classroom environment. Kids came in, got their journals, went to their seats, looked on the board to see if there's a warm-up. They were ready to go. The expectations, you've hammered those in from day one. It's apparent. And they know what's expected of them, and they're there to do it. They're ready to learn. It's great to see.
I swear there are still kids though that every day I'm like, get your journal. Don't forget your journal. But
yep.
for the most part, the majority of the students they've got their routine down, but there's always those 2 or 3 who,
Sure.
it's,
But that like you said, that routine, that repetitiveness, it's shown. They know when they go into Miss Hubble's class what's going to happen. So yeah, the management supplies, they have their own bin, they grab their stuff, they go sit down, everything's organized. There's, even in the groups, there's clear paths in case we need to leave the classroom early for a fire drill or anything like that. Not too many behavior issues. You've got great classroom management, and there's 3 adults in there, that helps sometimes too. But yeah, I'm surprised. There was some students who come by our office quite often, and they're really engaged in the lesson. We see them in other classes, and they try to give the teacher trouble by talking a lot, trying to make other people laugh, wanting negative attention, sleeping. But that shows you built a good rapport with each student and as a class as a whole. Like, this is our class, this is what we're going to do in here, and this is a learning environment. We're here to work, we're here to learn. Let's see. The classroom culture was good too. They knew how to talk to each other, respectful of each other. We'll circle back to that. There wasn't one person just taking over each group. Everyone, even the shy little EB kids, they had their role. They had their expectation.
Yeah. I mean, they're 8th graders, so they're going to be silly at times, or they're going to say things that might not be kind to one another. And I've tried as much as I can to address that, and in a respectful manner myself, to hopefully curb it. But again, they're 13-year-olds, so
yeah.
it's not
absolutely.
But I feel like it's been it's been a battle that we've I'm glad that where we are right now, what you were able to see, if you would have come into my classroom the second 3rd week of school, you wouldn't have seen them. So I'm glad you noticed that they were speaking with respectful to one another, and they were for the most part staying on task, because it's definitely been a challenge to get them to where they are right now. They don't come in that way. So thank you. I appreciate that.
You gotta train them. It's the routines and the expectations. It's daily, and they get it. They get used to it. That completes domain 3. For domain 4, that's going to be at your end of the year conference. And this, you'll have the whole year to work on what professional developments you've been a part of or plan to do, what you do for the school as far as extracurriculars, or what you plan to do, your involvement in PLCs, participation in school events, your communication, which I know that you have good communication. You send out weekly emails. Your website is current all the time. Okay, so those are good things that we're going to be talking about at the end of the year. But for the last part of this pre-conference, post-conference, and we touched upon it a little bit during the pre-conference, was areas of reinforcement and refinement. And for domain 3, you did a phenomenal job with student rapport. I can't say that enough, about the routines, about how the kids that are silly in other classes were great in yours. That culture of respect that you've established in your class is awesome. I mean, we should think about having teachers kind of visit your classroom and see what you do, to kind of get ideas, model those expectations, and try to just add more tools into their tool bag,
Thanks.
type of thing. So the rapport, the respect within the classroom, the evidence being everyone was engaged, talking respectfully, everyone was working, everyone, for the most part, grabbed their things, sat down. There was a little chitter chatter, you know, nothing minor. They are 13, like we said. What would you feel about that, or how do you feel about that? Do you agree? Do you want to counter that about that being one of your strengths?
No, I agree. Like like I said, I agree with your assessment of what I said before. It's taken a lot of time and a lot of effort, you know, to get to where we are, and to get to, you know, the classroom management to be, and the discipline to be where it is right now. It's taken a lot of work, but I do definitely, I agree. I feel like it is a strength, and it's something that I'm glad that you saw, and I feel like you know, it was, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, when I was first started out teaching, it's one of those things that I really, really struggled with, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And throughout, you know, time and learning and professional development in my previous years, I feel like that's something I've finally gotten a handle on, and I can actually, you know, and I can see the fruits of my labor. And now it's, you know, gone from being, you know, what used to be a weakness to now what I consider, you know, to be a strength. So yeah, I think
Right.
thanks. I've had myself on the back.
Yeah. And the other piece was the refinement plan. And again, we talked about this, and you pointed this out to me during the pre-conference. It's also in Domain 3. It's not your relationship, but kind of helping, and kind of Domain 4 too. How you interact with your EBs. As a former special ed teacher, you can modify, you help the special ed students as well as your co-teacher. So that background really helps you out. That is seamless and smooth. And like you were pointing out, with the Spanish speakers, you can kind of figure it out with them.
Yeah, and then they have a lot more language support too, you know, with, you know, like the dual language, and the other, you know, our ELL, the ELL teacher speaks fluent Spanish, so I mean that's
does help.
Yeah.
And we're in San Antonio.
Yeah.
So, like we know, our school is getting more and more refugees from Afghanistan and some from North Africa. So Pashto is a language that none of us know. So, but there are strategies and professional developments out there to help us accommodate and connect with and help them and guide them to where we want them to be. And one of the things is they have to practice English.
Yeah.
And some of them do and some of them don't. Some of them have been here for a few years and their English is very limited, but you see them in class, you see them in the halls, you see them at lunch, and they're not practicing English. Never.
Yeah.
Never, ever. And then you have some that barely got here a year or two ago, and they speak pretty well, and it's all about the practice. So some of those strategies, especially the reinforcement of practice, speak to me in English. Don't be shy to talk to me. But at the same time, we can't be hesitant to speak to them either. They probably, a lot of them may know more than they let on. They're just not confident to say it back. So we have to reinforce that. And just like the routines with getting your classroom management in line, it's the routine of speaking in English and speaking to them in that manner. And slowly over time, that will build up. Do you think that is a good refinement plan?
I do. I think I definitely want to do some try to look out there and see what there is as far as professional development wise. I want to be able to not just communicate with them, but also like make the content relevant, to them in their lives. And I feel like a lot of history does lend itself though, because especially refugees, like they left their country for a reason, and usually it's not very different than why people came here, in the beginning. So it does somewhat relate to American history, but I want to make it, I want to make it relevant to them, but at the same time I don't want to like make them uncomfortable either,
Right, and that's
so
part of those trainings. And
yeah, but I think that I think that's definitely something that I'd like to refine the communication, and then just helping them with the relevance of the content, because everything they've got going on in their lives, like whatever happened in 1800s, like what does that matter to them? So in the United States, so where they just came to. So I don't know, I just but yeah, that's definitely something I want to refine.
Very good, and we can help you out with that too. We can bring someone in. That's something that I'll talk to the principal about. We need to look for this specific type of training. We can even petition central office, like, hey, you guys need to find us something for this campus.
For this group of of student need.
Yeah, these neighborhoods are the ones filling up with refugees, and we gotta be ready. We gotta be culturally, responsive to them. They're our students. They're our kids. So we gotta do our best for them. Mm-hmm. All right, very good, very good. Thank you for your time. This concludes the post-conference element of this module.